Good morning, fellow Plexers. I want to follow up my recent Unraid video that pointed back to a Synology NAS with the same test bed, the same Optiplex 7050. I've already wiped the Plex install that I did in the video previously, and now I want to show how easy it is to move a Synology Plex container install over to a Docker container install. So basically, I've got my Plex media folder on my DS1520 NAS, and I also have Plex installed in Docker. So basically, I just had to copy the Plex folder and move it over to the Unraid install. Now, this Unraid install does not have any of storage of its own besides two SSDs being used as the shared cache pool. So what I did temporarily is I copied the Plex folder within the Docker folder on the Synology NAS temporarily into my Plex media folder. So there was a Plex folder inside the Plex folder, but it works. And then once I did that, I could browse to it in Unraid because I have let Unraid catch up. Because I have the Dynamics file manager installed. So I could just click here. Oh, sorry. Not click there. I could go down to my shared folder on the NAS, and I could click here, and then I could go into, let's see, where did I put it? I think I put it inside this media public domain folder. And I could right click on it and choose copy, or I could have chosen move. And where I chose to move it to was into the cache pool, into the app data directory. So this is an exact duplicate of what's on my Synology NAS. So moving it was pretty easy. I made a copy of it in DSM. I made a copy of it and used FileStation to do that, to move it into a folder that this Unraid install had access to. And then once it was in the Unraid install, I then put it in its proper place. And then the next part was a little trickier. And I need Portainer for a second to show you that. Okay, so let's go to my stacks. Let's go to the editor. And these are the paths I use for the Synology NAS Docker install of Plex. So what I was looking for was all this. These are my aliases. So this is the actual path on my Synology NAS of where the different media sort libraries are. And that's how I'm set up. I am set up with media sort libraries. So if you go into my media folder that's named Plex, you'll see a TV folder that's not really a library folder for Plex, that's a sort folder. And inside it are my two actual series libraries that a library would point to. And the same for movies. This one's not used, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different movie libraries in Plex. So in Unraid, I'm really pointing to these general library sort folders, just how I have it set up in my Synology Docker compose image. So I know it sounds confusing, but I needed this for each of the different libraries. And let me find my cheat sheet. Okay, so I just added to the cheat sheet I used for the previous video. I can get Portainer out of here now. So the previous video I showed you how I got this. And basically I could get that by clicking on this. But unfortunately, once you install the file manager in Unraid, this changes. You really can't copy and paste it anymore. Before the file manager is installed, it'll just actually be this that could be copy and pasted. So I know it's confusing, but I'm just learning the little bugaboos about things. So let's go back to the Docker container. Let's go into it. Let's click the advanced view and show more settings. And all this is the same as the previous video. I've got the extra parameter for the hardware acceleration. I have 5 library paths. The default 2 that the container comes with, and then I added one for music, photo, and videos. And these are just basically a copy and paste. So when I edit the TV, if I bring this in, this was the same copy and paste from the previous video to point to the right path, but then I put my container path, what I called an alias, here to match what it was on the, well, let's see if we can see both of these at the same time. So I needed this Plex TV media is what I'm looking for in the library settings of my install. I needed that to match what it was on the original install on the Synology NAS. So that's where my cheat sheet comes in. I took everything that I knew was the path in Unraid and added that where it needed to be added, and then I put the right container path in to match my previous install. And as soon as I started this up, after having all 5 of them in, it just worked. So let's show you that next. Let me prep something. Okay, so I don't want to have to blur out my public IP address, so I'm only showing part of the screen. You'll see that this is the IP address of my Synology NAS local and the port. So just remember 95. So if I bring the Portainer window back in, I'm going to stop the Plex container right here. Alright, so in the minute I did that, I lost this server. So now I'm going to spin this one up. And it has an update. I haven't applied the update because this wasn't running. But I did do the latest update from today on the other version of this same server. So let's give it a chance. Refresh it. And now you'll see this server's back. And it's not showing an IP address. Oh, there it is. So it changed. It's now 85 instead of 95. And I don't have remote access. because it's a new IP address. And if we go in here and look, I should have had my shield on in my office. If we go in here and look, once I start a video on this server, it should show up as running under the GPU and the CPU graphs. Alright, so let me find a video. So all my metadata for that library transferred over. And why don't I show that first? So all my collections are here, all the watch history, everything's where it needs to be. All right, I'm looking for that library or that server. And let's mute it. Well, I'm in the kids library, but that's fine. Let me find something to play. An old Scooby-Doo video. So we'll bring Plex over, and you'll see we're playing, and this server needs an update. So it's playing on my shield. And if I force this into a transcode, okay, so now it's transcoding. We will see the GPU spring, or the iGPU spring into action under Unraid. So I transferred my server on my Synology NAS to this Unraid install, which, you know, it's only a 7th gen i5. It's not quite as powerful as the iGPU in my Synology NAS, which is a 9th gen iGPU. But a Docker Plex container is so easily portable that even a guy like me figured it out. So let's stop this show from playing, and we'll do the reverse, right? So where are we? Oh, well, while we're here, let's update Plex before I do anything. Plex is it's so easy to do updates. Apply update. I could click update all here, and it's pretty fast. Faster than updating the Docker container on my Synology NAS through Portainer or through Container Manager. All right, so I lost the server during the update. Done. All right, the server's back and it's fully updated. So let's do the reverse. Let's stop this one and go back to the Synology container. All right, so let me go to remote access. So I can show you it didn't work out too well. So I can show you the IP address of the Unraid server, which is a match up here. So we're going to stop this container. Then I'll bring Portainer back in. And look, here's the IP address of the Synology NAS with the Portainer port. And we'll simply start the container. Container successfully started, so I can ditch Portainer now. And we'll give this a little bit, we'll refresh. And Plex just came back. And you'll see it pop in with the IP address in a little bit. There it is, it popped in. So now I'm back to the IP address of the Synology NAS. And just for the heck of it, I'm going to reacquire remote access just so any of my users don't have problems with it. Now, this is only to move a Synology Docker Plex install to an Unraid Docker Plex install. I have no idea how to move a package install, but it's so super easy with Docker to Docker from one host to another. Okay, so I'm back on the Synology NAS, and I was literally able to go back and forth without any issue. So if you're a Synology NAS Plex server owner and you want to try a faster install, so this is just a test system on an old computer. I would not use a 7th gen Intel processor as my Plex server. The Synology NAS is better, slightly better. But an 11th gen i5 with the Iris Xe graphics, that's a whole nother kettle of fish. This is a fast Plex server for transcoding. Everything's quick about it. And I've got this set up with 32 gigs of RAM. I use 16 gigs of that as transcoding to RAM. And just this is a fantastic server. And had I known how easy it was to move my Synology server, I would have never started this one up fresh that I haven't done all my collections on yet. So I'm not going to backtrack, but had I known what I know now, it would have just been super easy. Last night I figured this out. It took me about half an hour to figure it out, and I was just amazed that it was so easy to do. So, thanks for watching, and happy Plexing.